Tim Merlier absolutely crushed his opposition at this year's Nokere Koerse, after already winning the race for the last 2 years as well. This year, the competition looked stronger than ever before. However, Tim Merlier managed to completely decimate any of his contenders in the final sprint of the race. Let's take a look at how Merlier managed to grab the victory here. And how big of a role did luck play here today? Before we're gonna look at the lucky circumstances that caused Tim Merlier to actually win this race, we do have to note that Tim Merlier is not only a world-class sprinter, but also a world-class sprinter in great form. This year, Tim Merlier has already won 5 races and finished second in 2. That's an insane statistic so far. And that was even before he won the Nokere Koerse this year. So let's take a look at the race. Tim Merlier got the victory this year with this super powerful burst past all his contenders. But how did he manage to gain so much speed over his competitors? Let's see what happened in the final kilometer. As Quickstep take over the lead of the peloton here, we see Lamperti looking desperately behind him, trying to find Merlier. But Merlier is nowhere to be found. Merlier is hiding a little bit behind these front riders, when Pascal Ackermann of Israel Premier Tech makes a very dangerous move to the left here, almost causing Merlier to crash. Merlier just barely manages to stay on his bike here, but his chain does come off in this little exchange, causing him to have trouble catching up with the group ahead of him. The camera loses track of Merlier for a little bit, but when we pan back to the front of the race, we see that Merlier has managed to get his chain back on his bike and he's almost caught up to the front of the race, where Philipsen and Jacobsen are in excellent position for the sprint. And as we come around the corner, we see Merlier approaching this group at high speed, while his teammate Van Leerberghe makes a move that decides the outcome of this race. Van Leerberghe still doesn't know where Merlier is, so he decides to steer to the left first to look over his right shoulder, and then steer to the right and look over his left shoulder to search for Merlier. Crucial detail here is that he stops riding, so he's severely hindering the speed of the riders behind him, specifically Consonni when he moves to the left and Philipsen when he moves to the right. Basically all riders here have to slow down, all but one, Tim Merlier. And while all other riders in this group are still working to get to their top speed, Tim Merlier is already there. He blasts past this group and gives them no chance to catch up ever again. And while at first it looked like Merlier was not in a great position, his teammates didn't know where he was, he had a mechanical issue after Pascal Ackermann almost caused him to crash. All of these details eventually made it possible for him to win the Nokere Koerse for the 3rd year in a row. Many people did not expect Tim Merlier to be the man to beat in the sprint this year, but so far he's undoubtedly the number 1. And I'm looking forward very much to see whether Tim Merlier is able to stay at the top while the season progresses.